Now, when we are talking about contacts, we can get these contacts through, as I mentioned to you earlier also, maybe it could be is that we are running marketing campaigns. हम कुछ promotional campaigns run कर रहे हैं, so उसके through हमारे पास में lot of contact details आ गई, referrals हो गया, और बहुत सारे तरीके through which you can still manage to connect and generate contacts. On the lead front, the customer has shown an interest. He probably must have visited your store, physically कहीं जाके उसने चीजें देखी होंगी, तो कहीं ना कहीं उसने interest दिखाया, or probably has visited your website and tried to say that okay, ठीक है, somebody can connect me and so on and so forth. When you see a prospect, you also see the prospect now is inquiring more in detail about the price, the features, right? He may also ask you to say, why don't you come down and give me a sort of a, let's say, quick demo so that let's understand it. Let's say, typically, there was a time Eureka Forbes used to sell its vacuum cleaners only through an act called demos. So they would make physical visits to the houses and do a physical demo activities and convince a customer that look, the kind of a dirt which is there in your existing house. You may claim that it is absolutely spick and span, but the reality is something else. वो सब कराते थे. So maybe that's how you can see a prospect getting converted. Now, since you or your salesperson sees a situation, you also see an opportunity. You also see that मेरा customer जो है, वो customer को मुझे क्या बेचना चाहिए, क्या बेच सकता हूँ, क्या बेच सकता हूँ. What all I can manage to sell to my consumer is what you can see in the stage when we are talking about opportunity. So opportunity में it is important that a smart salesman is a guy who will always try and do an upselling, which means a fundamental core product तो बेचेगा ही, उसके साथ में कुछ और भी additional चीजें बेचेगा. Thus, your team has the ability is what you have to find it out. And in case if it is not, it's important that you have to build it. And probably that's where we are talking about negotiation. So as I told you, one thing is stages will dynamically be different when it comes to a B2B business, or when it comes to a B2C, it's going to be completely different. And of course, the situation when we are talking about customers, we are talking about whether the consumer has bought or not bought. But in case if he has bought, you should know why your consumer is buying your product. And more important is, in case if he has not bought it, you should be also knowing it. Why is that the customer did not buy from you? Because this will help you to understand, was it the ability front? Was it the product failure? Was it was not meeting the customer's expectations? Was my pitch not right? Were we being very pushy? And so on and so forth. So it's important whether you are getting a customer or not getting a customer. In both scenarios, you should try and work on the reason of why he has bought it and why he did not buy from me. And hence, it's a very simple stages which we have already seen. We have a contact, there's a lead, the prospect gets matured, and then we see an opportunity, and then eventually we see a customer coming on our floor. You have good negotiators in your organizations, and probably you have very bad negotiators. Hence, you may see yourself in this particular category called the blue category, or probably you see yourself in the red categories. Majority of, before I take it forward enough, how many of you all see yourself in blue or in red? Can I quickly see it in the chat box? Okay, Omar, blue, wonderful, Omar bhai, that's good enough. Sanjana is always right. And what about the others? Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I see. Oh, mixed red. Okay, fair enough. So I see a mixed response to people here, right? Which is good. I'm happy that in case if you can see yourself in the blue zone, that's absolutely fabulous. So I now see more of red coming up, right? Anyway, so fundamentally, there are only two types of negotiators. One, the guy who goes and strikes a deal, absolutely fabulous. जो मैं बोलता हूँ वो कस्टमर सुनता है, और कस्टमर सुनता है वो मेरे को उतना ही पैसा देता है. Fabulous, thumbs up, hats off to you. But majority of the time, we do not see this happening down. We somewhere or the other get into a compromise mode. We discount our product, we discount our services, and take whatever the customer gives it, and eventually come out. And then we feel that कि चलो यार धंधा तो हो गया करके, right? Even for people who generally fall under the blue categories, if at all you feel that your growth is fabulous, then I respect it. But if at all, if it is not, then trust me, you might have to reconsider that are you genuinely in the blue category or in the red category. If it also was the case, you would have been growing very fast. If you see your growth happening comparative to last year, year on year, let's say a 30% growth happening now, which is definitely a good growth, no doubt about it. So if you can see that happening in your organization, hats off to you. Very, very simple. The first knows how to negotiate. It's important that if you do not know how to negotiate, you will find you not generating sales. You will not see sales happening in your organization. कितना भी sales आपके लिए important हो, आपको आपके company में negotiations की ability होनी चाहिए. And hence it is important that we should try and learn more about what is negotiations. Now, these skills which I'm talking about is all on the behavioral element of it, right? And hence it is important, because the fact is it's not the robot which is going and negotiating with my customer. It's me or my salesperson who is going out and trying to convince and this make the sales happen. And hence it's important that rather than work these systems helping me to work, when it comes to negotiation, it's important that it has to be internal, which is the behavioral element of it. And hence, the points which I'm listing here will give you a fair insights and understanding of, if you can manage to probably inculcate these behaviors, you will find a transformation happening in your company. So let's understand what are these negotiation skills. It's very important is, sales is tough. Sales is extremely tough. It is not an easy job at all. And hence, if you do not go in the right frame of mind and say that, boss, world में ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं कि जिसको जाकर मैं negotiate नहीं कर सकता हूँ. If you do not go in that frame of mind, you will not be able to do sales happening. But to reach that point of confidence, it's important that one must work extensively at the ground level, which is at the zero level, which means at the core level, at the bottom. आपके घर पे आपको इतना काम करना पड़ेगा कि जिसके वजह से आपको कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाए कि मैं कहीं पे भी जाऊंगा और मैं चीजों को जाके नेगोशिएट कर पाऊंगा. And hence it is important that you need to work on something called the sounding board, which means do your homework at the back. That's primarily. You should also know, if at all you have to connect your respective dots, you should know how you have to relate the issue along with the problem and the issues. This relationship is very, very important. इसलिए important है कि before approaching your prospect, try and do a lot of practice, because this practice will only give you a better understanding of how you are supposed to go down and pitch yourself. एक कस्टमर के पास ऐसे ही मत पहुंच जाना. You should know exactly that in case if you're going and approaching a prospect or a customer or a lead, or whatever terminologies can be used here, you should know what is going to be my outcome of this. इस मीटिंग से क्या आउटकम होना है, इस मीटिंग से मुझे क्या मिलना है, ये आपके पास में आपको पता होना चाहिए. You should be knowing that what sort of an outcome are you looking forward here, right? And hence, in case if you can manage to know it, you will see that you are very smart enough in terms of overcoming the rejections. कि जो rejections आती हैं, आपको लगता है कि यार मैं product को तो बेच दूंगा करके, but the customer may not be necessarily ready, and hence you will realize is that there's a lot of rejections. They'll say नहीं अभी कोई जरूरत नहीं बस. It's important that you need to be in that frame of mind, and hence जब आप किसी कस्टमर के पास अप्रोच करते हैं तो आपको प्लीज क्लियर में रखिएगा कि आपको क्या चाहते हैं इस मीटिंग से. व्हाट इज दैट यू आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर मीटिंग. You should also know to how to connect it, because if you have to make the meeting more meaningful, it's important that you should ensure that you're talking relevance, you're talking sensible, you're talking something absolutely core for a customer to understand. And hence it's important that your pitch has to be very, very uh, uh, smart, and the best should be is that one must try and articulate the situation better. If you know the situation better, you'll be in a better state to articulate, and because of articulating, you realize that the conversions are you are in a state to convince a customer better. Never get to the mode of trying to only sell something. That's not the way to do it. This business, these days, business is not happening that way across the world, whether it's for a product or a services, or even for the biggest of the materials which is being sold, whether it's in manufacturing sector, anything for that matter. It has to be always win. And win-win means something which is much more than what the consumer is asking for. That is win-win. It's not equivalent. It's not 50-50. It's something much more. And hence you may realize that it's not 100%. You may realize that it could be 120%. सर ये तो आपको दे ही रहे हैं, इसके अलावा ये भी चीज आपको मिल रही है. And that is how probably you have to start building up. We are in a business which we are building it up. We are in a state where we are in a state to grow. Hence, it is important that if at all I have to ensure a customer delight, I will have to go that extra mile to make the customer believe that yes, I am genuine, I am authentic, I am for the customer, and I'm taking care of the customer's welfare as well. And hence, it's important that you will have to create a situation which is win-win and win-win plus, to be very honest. क्योंकि sales बहुत tough situations. It's not easy. Somebody, a sales rep, he slogs in the hot sun. An entrepreneur also does it. I also do it. I also go out and probably speak to my prospective customers. So it need not be, it can be a rainy season, it can be a hot summer, 40 degrees, and still you have to go down and work upon. But let's understand, if at all you have to play this game well, you should exactly know the rules. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि इस गेम को खेलना है तो इस गेम के रूल्स क्या है. रैंडमली अगर आप उठ के कहते हैं कि चलो सर मैं आज जाके सेल्स करूंगा, you will not find hitting the success. Hence it's important that आपको पता होना चाहिए कि भी आपके जो बिजनेस में आपके बिजनेस के क्या रूल्स हैं. वो रूल्स को अगर आपने सही तरीके से समझा, you will see that your hit rate, I'm not saying that if you go and approach 10 customers, you will find all the 10 customers getting converted. If it is happening, absolutely fabulous. But it does not generally happen. That's how we have seen it. I've been in the industry for more than 30 years now, the corporate world. मैंने बहुत प्रोडक्ट्स बेचे हैं, बहुत सर्विसेज बेचे हैं, सब कुछ किया है, प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च भी किया, सब कुछ किया है. बट मैंने भी देखा कि मेरा हिट रेट जो है 10 लोगों अगर मैं मिलता हूँ तो मैं 7 लोगों को कन्वर्ट कर पाता हूँ. That's the maximum is what I was able to do it. And that's the maximum. It does not happen necessarily. Hence, it is important that you need to be knowing the rules of the game. जितना ज़्यादा आप इस चीज को समझेंगे अच्छे से, you will realize that you are in a state to convert. ऐसा कोई बिजनेस नहीं है जहां पे पीपल आपको बिजनेस लाके देंगे. For instance, even business लाके भी देते हैं तो there is always a vested interest. It's not that anybody is going to be working for you on as a free or as a charity. Hence, it is extremely important that if at all you are approaching, you are making sales for a prospect, or your team is going down, try and inculcate this belief is that, boss, you only have to fight your battle. Fundamentally, it is you only. There are people who can support. They will do a little bit of a hand holding, but they are not going to be responsible for not sales not happening. And hence it is important that if I am my sales guy, I am a sales manager, it's my responsibility to go down and get these sales. Now, either I do it with my physical presence, or probably drive it through my team members. So it is बहुत रेलेवेंट है यहाँ पे कि आपको मेंटली ट्यून होना चाहिए that nobody is going to support. The support can only be external, and that too probably momentary. It is not something which is helping you to convert the sales happen now. So they are all acting as facilitators. When you are reached a point where you know now he is a customer who has absolutely shown interest, right? But that is probably holding him to say yes. Give it a try. You can always be ignorant. You can always be very innocent. I have seen majority of the time a customer whom I've interacted, I'm trying to share my knowledge to him by saying that in your company, this is what you should ideally be doing it. And he says, I know my company better. Absolutely fair. You know your company well, no doubt about it. That's why probably you're existing. But if at all you knew your company well enough, you would have grown much faster. Because you have not been able to grow faster, that is the reason you and me are sitting and talking. And hence, I sometimes take a back step and then be very ignorant. I said, sir, just let me know. आप बताइए क्या है? And majority of the time, I see a lot of customers. They feel their ego gets satisfied, and they would like to share a lot of information about it. It helps. It helps you to understand the customer's psyche. It helps you to understand more about that how this customer is going to be behaving in future, and hence it's always good that you should give the opportunity for a customer to speak rather than you speaking it. There was a time when people used to talk about sales, बहुत बोलना पड़ता है, अभी जरूरी नहीं है. Sales is dynamic. It's now is that you should help the customer to speak out. And because in this process of speaking out, you will realize that this is what he's expecting. And hence you can match your product or your services according to his expectations, and you see a faster conversions happening now. ये बहुत सारे जगह पे हम नहीं करते, इसलिए होता क्या है कि हमको लगता है कि हमको जाके बेचना है, बहुत ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन देंगे तो कस्टमर मेरा खरीद लेगा. जरूरी नहीं है. If I give you a lot and loads of data right now in this presentation, you will not be happy at all. You will not be happy. You will not be able to register. Because the fact is, understand one thing is, mind has only a limited source of registration to happen. Any data which comes into the mind or into our brains, it's only limited. But over a period of time, you can keep accumulating. But the fundamental input which is coming down has to be only limited. In case if you manage to close sales, always insist asking, why are you buying it? Why did you not buy it? You should be knowing the reasons, right? In case if you feel the customer is straight away rejecting you and saying that, no, I don't want it, you can always ask him, why do you say that? Why do you say that my product or my service is not relevant to you, right? Rather than confronting a customer, it's always better to ask him that कि सर आपको क्यों लगता है कि मेरा प्रोडक्ट ठीक नहीं है? आपको क्या लगता है कि कहाँ पे मिसमैच है, या कहाँ पे आपको लगता है कि आई एम नॉट मीटिंग योर एक्सपेक्टेशंस? Now, majority of the time, people will shun. They will hold on to themselves. Why? Because the fact is they don't want to get exposed. I do not want to say that your product is expensive, right? I would not like to say नहीं यार ये आपकी जो services है ना वो मेरे लिए actually relevant नहीं है करके. So it gives that insight to for you as well. But at the same time, you will also see a situation where the customer specifically comes and becomes very vocal. Sometimes you may also see that situation. He's become very vocal and says, this is the reason why I don't want to buy from, or this is the reason I want to buy from you. So now, it is all a good insights from a hardcore end consumer who's your actual potential customer, actual customer, for you to strategize your next move with the other prospects. These informations, these such insights by the customers helps you to use them as a tool or an information or a source of let's say a piece of information to adopt them into your future leads, right?